I've tried to do this video 5, 6 times or more. On August 24th, 2018, me and my husband, we were going to pick up his paycheck at his security job, and it was only 2 or 3 minutes away, so it was supposed to be straight there, straight back. We decided to take the dirt bike. And we got down to the bottom of the driveway, and we were a little wobbly on the dirt bike, so he said he needed to fix his wallet in his pocket. He needed to resituate. So we pulled across the road, and we had the dirt bike propped up against the guardrail there. And as we were sitting there, there was a horrible screeching sound, and it was tires screeching because there's a truck coming too fast up the road and coming around the curve so fast. His truck pretty much lost control and was coming across the yellow lines, and he was on our side, and he hit us head on. And it slung me across the guardrail and over this 25-foot cliff. And whenever I was slung off the dirt bike, I don't remember my body ever hitting the ground. I remember my soul or my spirit or whatever, just, it came apart from my body, and I was just floating above the road, about where the power lines are, not that far up off the road. And I could see everything going on from a third-person perspective. And I could see the truck parked. I could see the dirt bike laying out in front of it. And my husband laying there. But then I started, I only sat there for a minute, and then I started floating up, higher and higher, to the point that I could see everything around me so far out. And I was like, it hit me what all had happened, and I was like, this is reality. Like, so am I facing death? Is this death? And the clouds above me were just bright white clouds. They were so bright I couldn't look up. I was just looking down the whole time. And then I heard this voice come from the clouds, and I knew it was God. And he said, "No, child, your time is not yet." And I felt an arm wrap around my shoulders, and I guess it felt like Jesus. And it was like he was guiding me then at that point back down to my body. And I started coming back down, and everything was getting clearer and clearer. And I could see, like strangers were pulling up and stopping to help. And my mother-in-law was standing at the bottom of the driveway with my daughter. And we kept going all the way across the guardrail, and then stood like in front of my body where my father-in-law was pulling it down out of the vines. And once he got my body laid down, it was like that arm that was wrapped around my shoulders motioned for me to lay down with it and next to it. And so I did. And then it was like, once I laid down, I closed my eyes. And then when I opened my eyes again, I was awake in my body again. And I can remember, I had to lay there for a while. It took the ambulance over an hour to get there. But police officers arrived, and they came down there, and they were asking me, like, who was the president? Like, what's your name? Like, what can you remember? Anyways, then I remember they put me on this gurney, and they were pulling me up, trying to get me back over the guardrail to the road. And they were pulling me by ropes, and I almost slipped out of the gurney at one point. And once they got me up over the guardrail, I can remember the man who hit us was crying and trying to apologize. My mom was there, and she was like, "I'm praying for you. Just keep praying, keep praying." And I can remember the ride from the ambulance over to the local college, and there was a helicopter waiting there, and they flew us out to Holston Valley in Tennessee. It was a 15-minute ride. But in that 15 minutes, I just kept thinking, like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And there was like another voice there, and it just said, yes, you can. Just breathe. And whenever we got to the hospital, they took me in, and I went into the ER, and there was a curtain where I could see everybody surrounding my husband on the other side of the curtain. And we were in there together, but I could hear him screaming, and I could hear all the chaos going on. And I vomited at one point, but then they came in and had to rush me into surgery. And they were trying to shove my bone back into my leg. And at that point, there was somebody that came into the surgery room, and they were hollering, her lung is collapsed. We need to do a chest tube right now. And this was later on, after they had ran tests whenever I first arrived. But while I was in surgery, they came in and said, I need a chest tube. And then I can remember them using this, it looked like a big pair of scissors with hooks on both sides, and they were prying my ribs apart. And the doctors were screaming, more sedation, more sedation. And then at that point, everything went black. And I didn't wake up until the next day. And when I woke up the next day, I was covered in pain. But that was whenever I was like, I'm awake in my body again, you know? And I just want to say, like, if you think that God is not real, He is real. There is life after this life. And I'm thankful for this second chance that He gave me. Because honestly, whenever this wreck happened, I probably was not ready to go where I meant to go. And it just wasn't my time yet. But that wasn't my decision. Life happens in the blink of an eye. And you never know when the next breath you take will be your last. Get right in your heart. Get where you need to be. I hope you enjoyed my story, and I hope you have a blessed weekend.